People told me I couldn't do a lot of things.
I feel like I'm the chosen one.
Look at this. We created this. This didn't exist before we were here. All we are is proud and passionate. I love Toronto. I love this team. And we're going to the NBA Finals. Let's go!
Nothing matters but winning.
You're going to the NBA Finals for the first time in your career.
Toronto Raptors are the 2019 NBA champions.
We are back for episode 13 of Rapzville Weekly. I'm your co-host, Gabriel Cellio, along with my other co-host,
Adam Casucci.
And today we're going to be talking about our championship predictions for the 2020 NBA season. So early on, we had ESPN's preseason prediction on who would win the NBA Finals, or the title, actually. So for the matchup, we have Clippers at number 1, top team, with 117 points or votes. Number 2 was Bucks with 85. Third was the 76ers with 38, topping the Lakers at 4th with 29. The Warriors somehow snuck at 5th before, people saw what happened during the season with 15 points. Rockets at 6th, 11, and Jazz somehow snuck in with the 7th spot with 3 points. You clearly see what happens here. Some predictable ones, some not so predictable. Adam, give us your thoughts about this.
The Clippers, I do see as the top contender. Lakers, I felt were a bit low. I felt like they should have been second place. I feel like the Bucks, even though they're a great team, they haven't had that much playoff experience. As well as the 76ers are, I feel, overrated in these points. The Warriors, obviously, with Clay and Curry being out, obviously that kind of went down the drain there. The Rockets as well, another overrated team, I feel. And the Jazz, I do get why they do have just a bit of points because of their great ball movement and defense. Okay. The Raptors clearly were not even considered for the possibility. So this season was great for making a statement in the league. First, just off the caliber of our team. And second, the great job coaching Nick Nurse has done. It does make sense that the Clippers and Bucks and Lakers were high up in points because they obviously hold some of the greatest players in the league, the big superstars, the big names. Their stats and players look great on paper, but I feel like the heart and passion the Raptors hold is something not measurable or seen on paper. They do a lot of things teams don't do. I feel, and they're just not looked at even in the betting odds, or they're always looked at as the underdog against these top contending teams. And I really don't understand that because they have proved last year that they can win the championship, and then doing it this year without Kawhi kind of proves that point right. So I certainly don't get that. Realistically, if the season continued, I believe that the Raptors would have had a great shot at reappearing in the NBA Finals, in my opinion, simply due to our hard work and passion this season. Our intensity and play have been miraculous. And I think if we have played hard and strong as a team, we could have done it in 7. I do see us versing the Lakers or Clippers in the final, which I can't see, right? So, the Bucks are clearly the more skilled team this year with a better record, and they have a great shot at making the finals if we cannot beat them. But I still think the Raptors would push through and make the finals, in my opinion. Gabe, anything to say?
Yeah, so obviously Raptors not being on here is a shock to some fans. This is a preseason prediction, obviously. So people thought Kawhi Leonard leaving, Danny Green leaving, going to be a huge impact on our team. We wouldn't be able to perform as well as we did. And then you see what happened this season. We basically just tore it up with the likes of a young Terrence Davis, a hustle man, Chaperone, Hollis Jefferson, a lot of different pieces that brought into this team and did a lot of hard work. Players stepped up their game. You think Chris Boucher, Norman Powell, OG Anunoby. Everyone's play just increased, and we somehow became this miraculous, hardworking, passionate team that wants to claw back their way to the NBA Finals. And like you said before, I think if the season continued and we had that momentum, I think we could have done our way in getting to the NBA Finals. And now we're going to see what happens with this new restart in Orlando, if we can keep up that momentum and intense play, and if we somehow can make our chances back here. I'm predicting that the Raptors would make it to the Eastern Conference Finals again. And let's say we verse up with the Milwaukee Bucks, which is a high possibility. I think that it'd be a very tough matchup now that we lost, Kawhi, who was one of that driving factors last series when he was, dunking on Giannis and bringing that intense play, hitting big shots. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think we have a lot of defenders that can try doing their job on Giannis to contain him. And, it's going to take a lot of hard work, a lot of luck, a lot of skill. I think it's going to be a tough battle, but I think we can squeeze through. We have the pieces that play good. We have guys that have stepped up this year, and our heart and passion and hard work is not something to be underestimated. You see in the betting odds now that they've done them. Clearly, the Raps weren't even taken into consideration at the beginning, but now that they're doing the Vegas betting odds, we are quite up there in a higher spot, and most of the bets have been put in for the Raptors specifically. I believe 22%. So a lot of people think now the Raptors can win. Yeah, a lot of people think the Raptors can win the championship now because they've seen what they've done in the season. So, now that everyone's seen it, I think it's clear that they have a good shot of being title contenders, if not just final contenders. Bucks obviously have great pieces. Giannis is an animal. Middleton's a great player. Lopez, there's a lot of guys that are going to be challenging to play against. But if we're at our A game, I think we can take them to 6 or 7 again.
For sure. Gabe, I just have a quick question. For Giannis's matchup, if we do make it to the Eastern Conference Finals with the Milwaukee Bucks, who would you put on Giannis? Would it be OG and kind of rest Siakam for the offensive end and let him do his thing there? Or would you run kind of what we did last time with Kawhi on Giannis and just kind of going back and forth with that matchup?
Yeah, I think that it's a challenging situation.
Even OG, Gabe.
Yeah. OG for sure is he does a good job. I like the idea of resting Siakam a little bit, especially if we're using him a lot in offense as kind of like our top priority player. But I think that Siakam is probably in the best built matchup. Like he's got the length, he has the size, the quickness that he can do. He's the best, I think, matchup overall for Giannis. Problem is that Giannis has strength. So at times, if we get switches, I wouldn't think it'd be too bad if maybe even Serge Ibaka's on him a little bit just to battle some of the strength down low. And he still has that length and he can try to do his best. And then once in a while, getting OG in the rotation as well. It's like that constant rotation, maybe just that rotation of switching up the guys, keeping energetic guys on him. If we put a focus on putting energy into defense and they rotate who's guarding him and guarding him at full potential, I think that we can try to contain him at his best. But I think Siakam has the best built matchup, but I think once in a while you got to put Ibaka or OG or someone, maybe even Rondé, someone tight that's going to bruise him up a little bit.
Okay. And one more important question. How would you play Giannis? Would you play him taking a couple steps back, letting him shoot the jumpers, which most teams have done in the past? Or would you kind of play him uptight? I mean, some players play him uptight so he can't get momentum moving to the rim.
True.
But also, if he does get past you and he does use his physicality, he's scoring at the rim, right? So I would let him shoot. I mean, his jumper isn't 100% developed yet, at his young age, and he hasn't had that much experience shooting them in the playoffs. So that's what I would do. Gabe, any opinions?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to let him shoot. He doesn't have the best jumper, so I would let him shoot a little bit. But I feel like once he realizes that they're giving him that, he's going to maybe just fall into a back down and try closing down that space. And if he does have that momentum of running and getting into a hop step or something, a Euro step, that's when I think we have to do a good job at doubling. Or if Siakam, let's say, is on him and he's giving him that space, if he draws momentum and kind of blows by him, or if we play him tight and we want to put pressure on him and he goes by the first defender, we got to see a lot of help defense from Ibaka and then take a chance on those shooters in the corner hitting their shots. And I think with Milwaukee, that's their game really, but I think that's our best chance of containing Giannis and seeing what happens with the rest of the team if they can perform under pressure in the big stage, because they've yet to prove it.
For sure.
Okay, looking at some teams, the other teams that are part of this list and how they would fare in the playoff run. Specifically, let's start with Philly. I think looking at Philly and what they've done this season as well as their performance in the past, I think that they've overall have underachieved. They left off this season at the 6th in the conference, severely underperforming compared to their obviously expected NBA championship contender prediction. They had 38 points. And I think matching up against the Raptors or the Bucks, not really sure. I think it's a tall, scary task for them. They don't have like the end playoff experience. They only have those first couple of rounds. Outside of maybe Al Horford, they can't really contend with the best. And there's question marks on their two main stars, Embiid and Simmons. Simmons not being able to shoot the three. You constantly emphasize that, and Embiid's lack of effort and stamina.
Yep.
We saw a couple of times already that they've underperformed in the playoffs. There's been bad nights, like Embiid when he scored 0 against the Raps, and they can be on or off. And if they're not on their A game, I think they can easily be pushed out. We've done it a couple of times. We've taken care of them. They've been a threat to many players in the season in the league, but for some reason we always have their number, I think. So I think if they come up against us, we can take care of them. And even Boston, I feel like they're the overall better team, that they can take care of them as well. So I don't think they're much of a threat in winning the championship. And now moving on to the Celtics, being as well, another young squad lacking that playoff experience. They managed to hold a good record, clinching a playoff spot before the season hiatus, third in the Eastern Conference, a little bit behind us. And they have multiple stars, Kemba Walker, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, even Gordon Hayward. There does cause controversy, I feel, in the team because no one knows their role fully. Where on the Bucks and the Raps, they really have that sorted out. They know everyone's job and who's shooting the ball, who's going to get the plays. They have better chemistry, I feel. And the Celtics, they're a young team with a lot of heart and a lot of young talent and skill, but I'm not sure how they would match up. There's a chance that they could best maybe the Raps or the Bucks and make that conference finals, but I don't see them as a team that can win the championship, especially not being able to take on a team out of the West, I feel.
No, for sure. Moving on to the West, I'm thinking Clippers and Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. When we break it down and we look at team by team, for like the Clippers, some of the questions are who can contain Davis. Will it be Montrezl Harrell doing that job? Their strength, obviously, is their elite bench players in Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell. Yep. Being able to run their own offense when Kawhi and Paul George are off the floor. Doc Rivers, I feel, is the more superior coach over Frank Vogel. With a higher IQ, has been in that stage before, has been under the pressure, knows how to adjust in game, I feel. And that's a real important thing to have. And obviously his experience, like I said, I think Doc Rivers will be the better coach, and that's a big advantage, I feel. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George obviously are both playoff phenoms. And along with being superstars in this league, they're two-way superstars. So they are extreme threats to any team. Tagged along with Pat Bev, another Defensive Player of the Year candidate. They become clearly dominant on the defensive end, which will do wonders in the playoffs. Having all those defensive players on the floor with defensive IQ, it brings a good team defense, and I feel like they will do well as a team on the defensive end and have a lot of good rotations and doubling and helping. All the factors that roll into a team defense, I think they'll do pretty well against even the Lakers, the best of teams. And another question mark is obviously Ivica Zubac's performance. Will this guy be starting against the likes of Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, or will he be playing well? This guy, if he does play well and he does play have a good series, he can hold his own against those guys. I feel the Clippers will be okay. If he is not shooting the ball well, turning it over, not finishing on the inside, not grabbing rebounds. There's Doc Rivers is going to have to make a couple hard decisions on putting him or Montrezl in for more of the game, right? So, yeah. And another one is what defensive schemes can Doc Rivers use to control the paint dominance the Lakers have with Davis, Dwight Howard, JaVale, and obviously LeBron coming in hard in the paint. Doc Rivers will have to use multiple schemes, I feel, to stop that and to make it work. Maybe a zone might be required. But they don't have that big guy, that big center that can stay there in the zone, in the center position. So it's kind of tough. I feel like they will have a lot of mismatches on the defensive end, but I still think they can get it done for sure. Okay, now moving on to the Lakers. Can Harrell slow down Davis in any way? That's another one. If Harrell can do his job on Davis, there's been a lot of question marks on this. Harrell being the great defender he is and tough-nosed guy. I don't know if he has the defensive skill set to guard Anthony Davis, probably the best big man in the league. That would be an interesting matchup that we all love to see. LeBron has been on a tear and, in better words, on a mission this season. I really want to see what he can do in this series against two guys that I feel that can guard him, maybe not fully, but can contain him, in Kawhi and Paul George. He's not showing signs of slowing down, and he's performing at an unreal level for his age. I mean, if he continues this, I mean, if Kawhi and Paul George can't stop him, I mean, who can, right? So he could be the best player in that series for sure. Vogel, as I said, is the weaker coach. Probably will just fall under LeBron's shadow. LeBron will be talking to Vogel, I feel, a lot in this series on adjustments and what to do to have the Lakers winning the series and making them have a better chance of winning. Lakers also have experienced guys like Danny Green, JaVale McGee, Rondo, Dudley, and I feel like this is a big factor. Danny Green, obviously coming from the Raptors, a big 3-and-D guy, can hit big shots in the playoffs. Didn't play too well with the Raptors, but I feel like he'll have a big stint here with the Lakers in the playoffs for sure. How are they going to perform and contribute to the team play against the Clippers' great bench? I mean, the bench of the Lakers has to do an unreal job, even with Caruso coming in, Rondo, Danny Green is starting, so he wouldn't be on the bench. Dudley, like these guys have to perform. Even Kyle Kuzma, these guys have to perform against Montrezl Harrell and Lou Williams, because if they get outscored by a lot of points, I feel like that's going to be the big difference. I feel like the bench has to stay on point. How dominant will Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee be? Obviously, like I talked about with the Zubac performance, he has to be on his game. I mean, Howard and McGee can take over at any time of the game with their paint presence and glass cleaning abilities. I mean, so Zubac will have to do a great job in containing them. And will Kuzma step up to the star he can be? Or will he shy away and play a part as a role player? I mean, Kuzma has been great. He showed stints of it last season. He needs to play at the level he can play at. He is another star when he can be. He's another scoring threat. He's a scoring machine. But he hasn't been doing that well this season. I mean, being under LeBron and Davis and a lot of other people touching the ball, like Rondo on the bench. So he hasn't really been in his groove this season. But I hope he can play well and step up his game. Gabe, opinions?
I think that it's going to be an interesting matchup if it is Lakers versus Clippers, which I believe most likely it will be. Obviously, like we've pointed out here, there's a lot of question marks and factors that go into these matchups. Obviously, who's on their A game? Is Kuzma going to produce as that third star? Are the Clippers bench players going to dominate, or are they going to be managed by the Lakers bench? It's an interesting scenario. A couple of games that it's been forever since we've watched basketball games, but the last Lakers games I watched a couple of them. The Lakers, I thought they played great. They had great intensity. They played great basketball together, like Showtime basketball. And the Clippers game, when I watched them, they still looked very rusty, like bad passes, turnovers, just like lackluster play, like they didn't know they didn't have like the full chemistry yet. So yeah. I think that maybe now we're approaching the end of the season. Hopefully the chemistry got better between them, because I feel like not really on paper, but I guess like overall, I feel like the Clippers have that more solid team. Their bench is clearly much more dominant. They have literally two Six-Man of the Year candidates.
And they have the greater defensive team overall.
The Lakers have the better record this season. Before the stop, they had 49-14 record, and the Clippers had a 44-20 record. But during the season games, though, the Clippers won the first two of their matchups, 112-102, and then 111-106. And then on March 8th, the Lakers got their revenge, 112-103. And in that first win in October, the Clippers against the Lakers, Paul George wasn't present in that game either. It was just Kawhi Leonard versing them. So I feel like the Clippers, 2-1 record, they have bested the Lakers a little bit, even when they lack Paul George. I think that, LeBron has been on a tear this season. He's been playing absolutely phenomenal. And you got to see who's going to stop that freight train, that guy who's a man on a mission. But that's got to be Leonard's job. And we've seen it in the Heat Spurs eras, so we know that Leonard's going to be up for the matchup, and Leonard is still much more young and in his prime prime age, and LeBron is, older but still playing amazing. So it's going to be a great matchup if they do meet in the Western Conference Finals. And I think that overall, I believe the Clippers might get the better of them just off of their ability to, guard the team, and that dominating bench, I feel like, will perform. So it's just a matter of, will all the boxes be checked off, really, and are the Clippers going to live up to the standards?
Okay. Gabe, how do you feel about, we didn't really talk about the other Western Conference contenders. I feel like, do you see any teams like the Nuggets, Jazz, Thunder, Rockets, Mavericks, or Grizzlies competing for these two top spots? I mean, we did say that we feel Clippers and Lakers, but do you have any doubt about any of these teams cracking the Western Conference final, or is it kind of a two-team race?
I think it's a two-team race. I'm not sure, specifically how, you never really know if one team kind of just gets their way, underdog, just sneaks in. But I don't think there's a big chance of it, especially like the Rockets. We've seen them have poor success in the playoffs, and they've been through multiple different trades and all-star team-ups, and, they haven't quite got there yet. And we saw that the Rockets underperformed this season. And, even Westbrook himself hasn't had the best success in the playoffs, and especially with people leaving his team. But I think that, they're just not a playoff-built team, and they haven't had the best of luck. Mm-hmm. Other guys like the Jazz, they don't have the most experience either, not the most success, and chemistry is going to be a little weird now with the Gobert, Donovan Mitchell, beef, for lack of a better word, because of the coronavirus. Any other teams really like at the Nuggets, obviously they're a great team as well, but I just feel that Clippers and Lakers are such the dominant team, and the spotlight is really on them, the Battle of LA, and everyone is predicting that as the final. So I really feel like it's going to be almost forced that those are the two we're going to see in the finals, whether that be some sketchy refereeing or just, I think they're just going to be, in the end, I think it's no matter what, it's going to be them in the finals. It's just going to happen. I think that's the biggest possibility. If someone sneaks in, great, love to see it, but I just think that's the clear two. So yeah, I got the Clippers coming out. You said you have Clippers as well?
Yeah, I have Clippers coming out, and my dark horse in the West would be the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Wow.
Who would your dark horse be?
So Clippers out of the West and East, I'm going Raptors can best the Bucks. I think you can agree with me.
Yep.
So then that matchup then, Clippers versus Raps, Kawhi Leonard versus his former team. What happens there?
I mean, we did play well in the Raptors versus Clippers game this season. We weren't fully healthy with Ibaka out there, and we had Chris Boucher starting at center, and he did a phenomenal job. And I feel like if we had Chris there Serge playing there, playing a little bit more minutes, I think we could have done a bit better job with the strength with Montrezl Harrell. But I think Chris Boucher did an unreal job for stepping in, and that's why we have him. But I mean, I think the Raptors, not being biased at all, I think the Raptors do come out on top because of the different players they have and the different weapons that they can use with Powell, Fred VanVleet, Siakam, Lowry. They have multiple guys who can score 20 points each in any given night, right? Mm-hmm. The Clippers do as well with Leonard and George, but they don't have, other than those two players, they have Williams and Montrezl Harrell. Other than those four guys, I feel like if we can shut down their bench, which I feel like we have a great bench as well, better than the Lakers and any other team other than the Clippers. I mean, I think we could do a great job. The starting Kawhi would probably be OG, and on Paul George, that would be another difficult task there, even putting Siakam on Paul. But I feel we can do a decent job. I mean, if we can kind of contain them, we don't have to slow them down to a stop. I mean, we can contain them, and hopefully they don't get hot in the series.
Yeah, so the Clippers have bested us this season so far, regular season. I think that it's going to be a very, very difficult matchup. We've seen how good Kawhi can be in the playoffs. His game basically elevates. He's clutch. He hits the big shots. He can guard. He can do it all. it's going to be challenging to, verse that former teammate, and hopefully he can go easy on us. But I think the bench, once again, might be a problem. Obviously, Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell, 2 great players. It's a matter of, can we contain them? We've seen some good bench pieces, a little bit of turnaround, Dallas Mavericks comeback. We've seen some good play from them, but obviously they aren't as skillful as Lou Williams, who's constantly winning 6th Man of the Year, puts up huge numbers. Harrell's been playing great as well. So it's a matter of, can we play good on the bench? Can we contain those guys? They got a lot of good defensive players. It's going to be very hard to make a lot of those shots. And, it's going to be just a lot of fighting, a lot of hard work. Realistically, I think this game could go to 7, and I can see it going either way in Game 7. If we play the best of our game, I think we push Game 7, and it could be a toss-up. We could win or they can win. But obviously, if we're not playing our best game, if we're not matching their defensive traps and, Kawhi's great play, if we don't have anything lined up for that, we could fall to them in 6 or 5. But I think if we're on our game, we'll go to Game 7. And from there, it's I don't know, coin toss and who can win. So, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Hope you all enjoyed episode 13 of Rapsville Weekly. Everyone stay safe during the virus. Yeah, check us out on Instagram for more NBA content, up-to-date posts at Rapsville. Follow us on all our platforms. We got Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube for visuals. That's all. That's us signing out. Peace.